Before it permanently closed to the public, in early 2022, I got to visit and walk through Tri-County Mall in what is actually Springdale, Ohio, but normally just known as Cincinnati because it's just a Cincinnati suburb. So Tri-County Mall did close in May of 2022 permanently. But a little bit about the history of it is that it opened in 1960 originally as an open air center, and it used to be known as Tri-County Shopping Center. It originally, again, it wasn't enclosed at first. That happened, I believe, in 1968. Yes, because the Sears wing, which opened as the mall's third anchor, opened in 1967, and that wing was enclosed. So again, all of the photos and videos you'll see in this video are from 2022 before the mall closed, just a few short months before that happened. Alright, so it opened featuring H&S Pogue Company and John Shatillo Company as the anchor stores. And Shatillo's was later known as Shatillo's Rikes, Lazarus Macy's, and then just Macy's. Pogue's was consolidated with L.S. Ayers, then converted to J.C. Penney. And then in 1967 is when the Sears opened as the third anchor. And then in 1990, they started a mall expansion, which finished in 92 to add a second level of stores, and McAlpin's, which then became Dillard's in 98, as the fourth anchor. So from opening up until starting really in the 2010s, somewhat in the 2000s, but really in the 2010s, this mall was thriving. It thrived for a long time, but then just due to the center's age, increased competition, it lost all of its anchors. So in the 2010s, JCPenney and Dillard's relocated, Sears closed in 2018, Macy's closed in 2021. It's the final nail in the coffin. And it's kind of sad, like it seemed like it was doing so well and then all of a sudden just declined pretty quickly, actually, I think. So competition nearby would have been Northgate Mall, and then Cincinnati Mall, then known as Cincinnati Mills Mall, and also in general, this could be part of it. The mall was in a more middle class area, and it seems like nowadays most of the malls that are doing really well are in upper class areas, such as Kenwood Town Center, doing really well. It's more of an upper class neighborhood. And also Kenwood, honestly, isn't too far from this mall either, so a lot of competition in one area over mall. But Tri-County was the oldest. It was the one that was here, but unfortunately it fell. It had over 1,300,000 square feet of retail at one point. That is quite a bit of retail. And throughout the first several years of the mall existence, the common mall space was used to host many annual events as well. So that's pretty cool. There was even an outdoor living show, Safety Town, and just the 70s and 80s there were still expansions. Food court opened in 1985. It had 9 restaurants, and that coincided with the 25th anniversary. So, and again, that expansion in 1990, which added the second level atop the existing portion of the mall. I found it interesting that it wasn't actually built as a 2-story mall, because I thought it was built as a 2-story mall, but it wasn't. They actually added the second story on top. I think that's pretty unique, actually, for a mall. Do you know of any other malls that were built like that? Let me know in the comments down below, because I'd love to look at them as well. With that expansion in 1990, the food court was actually moved up to the upper level by Sears, and this is exactly where it was when I toured the mall, and that was by far the deadest section of the mall. Like the area downstairs, kind of near Macy's and towards the front entrance, there was actually a few shops, and like an Auntie Anne's still open there when I was there, probably because Macy's was the last anchor to close. But that upstairs area near Sears food court, I mean, it was dead, and I was like, is this area even open? It was honestly pretty depressing. So yeah. In December 1996, Equitable Life Insurance put Tri-County and several other mall properties up for sale due to concerns over saturation in the American retail market. But please note that this mall was still 90% doing good at this time. It was a 90% lease. That's considered successful. It was just maybe a foreboding of things to come. But the O'Connor Group bought it, and Blackstone Group bought the mall in 2002. Thor Equities acquired it in 2005. And this is when the mall experienced increased competition from recent renovation at Cincinnati Mills with Forest Fair Village. And that kind of led to a negative impact on Tri-County's mall value and tenancy, just because, hey, oh my goodness, this new fancy renovation over here at Cincinnati Mills. Yeah, but that fell even faster and harder than Tri-County. So, and I do have a video on Cincinnati Mills that I will link in the comment down below. So, JCPenney, when they closed its location, the Tri-County Mall and surrounding areas continued to suffer a decline in occupancy. And then the Great Recession hit, which had a number of retailers that were in this mall that had locations that closed. Borders, Value City, CompUSA, Circuit City, yeah. And then population growth had shifted. It kept moving northernly from the mall, near retail developments, like Liberty Town Center would be one. And there's just too much retail space, honestly, in my opinion, just in the area for it to be more of a middle-class neighborhood. But in 2013, Dillard's downgraded its store to an outlet store. Whenever they do this, it's probably not long before it eventually just finally closes. And it did in 2015. It moved to Liberty Center in Liberty Township, which is a new fancy shopping center, more in the suburbs of Cincinnati, further out than this, but that's unfortunately where the money went. So Sears closed 2018. Macy's seemed like they were going to stay there, and then that is the first time in 2017 that they considered the mall actually vulnerable. And you know, you had several chains such as Victoria's Secret, Charlotte Russe, Things Remembered. They left in 2019. So even before 2017, the mall wasn't considered vulnerable, even though it only had 2 of its 4 anchors. It was just really that 2017 article. That's when the first was like, okay, this mall's vulnerable. We're worried, like, what's going to happen to this mall? And then it was announced that the Macy's would close in March 2021. Then when that happened, you know, no anchors now. That was the nail in the coffin. So the city of Springdale did approve a redevelopment plan in December 2021, which will call for demolition, reconfiguration of the mall. It's like a mixed-use thing that's pretty popular nowadays. Whatever, you know, and it's expected to cost $1 billion, and it finally closed May 15th, 2022 permanently. And the last I heard, that redevelopment is on hold. Not really sure what's going on with that. It seems like maybe a funding issue, money issue, something's definitely going on. So hopefully they redevelop it and do something with the site of the Tri-County Mall. And it is sad to see this mall fall. And I feel like it wasn't really too much of Tri-County's mall's fault on its own. Like some malls, it's like, yeah, the mall did this to themselves. Like, this mall, though, I feel like didn't really do it to themselves as much as it was more outside influences. I mean, at the time when the mall was built, middle-class neighborhoods, they did go to the mall. And just with the retail changing landscape, middle class, you know, what is the middle class now, I feel like. But they did do expansions. Granted, they didn't renovate as recent as the Mills Mall, but we saw what happened to the Mills Mall even with the renovation. It just never succeeded, but I'm happy to say that at least Tri-County was successful for decades before it did fall. So to me, this was a successful mall. It just unfortunately was a victim of the retail apocalypse, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, just some history, my personal opinions, views about Tri-County Mall, Cincinnati, Ohio, actually Springdale. Have you been to this mall when it was open? What do you think about it? I feel like this mall would have been pretty dull and boring without the two-story. I really like the two-story aspect of it. And the Pringles vending machine, I've never seen that before in my life. That was pretty neat. And it seemed pretty bright in there. And for the most part, certain areas were kind of dark and dingy. And yeah, we had an out-of-order escalator, but it was clean. It was definitely more well taken care of than Cincinnati Mills or even some malls that are still open. Alright, well, if you did like this video, please make sure to like, leave me a comment down below, let me know what you think, and thank you so much for watching.